The stars blinked cold and distant as the signal came in. It was not a normal message. It was a cry for help, urgent, desperate, and filled with fear. The Galactic Union had sent a distress call from the planet Sirion. Something terrible was happening there. The message was clear. Millions of Sirion people were dying. A strange disease was spreading fast. It was unlike anything the Union had ever seen. The Sirians begged for help. They wanted doctors, scientists, healers, anything, to stop the sickness and save their people. Everyone watching expected Earth to send aid. Earth was known for its strong medicine and skilled doctors. People hoped Earth would send calm, caring hands to help. But Earth did not send doctors. Instead, Earth sent warships. The ships were huge and dark. They looked like giant black arrows, flying through space. No lights. No signs of peace. Only power and threat. The leaders of the Galactic Union watched in shock. They asked, "Why would Earth send destroyers when we need help? Why not healers?" On Sirion, the people waited nervously. They saw the ships land far from the city. Armed humans in heavy armor stepped out. They did not speak much. Their eyes scanned the land like hunters. They carried weapons, but no medical tools. One Sirion woman named Lyra stood among the crowd. She was a nurse and had worked with many sick people. She hoped to see doctors, but instead she saw soldiers. She felt a cold fear growing inside her. "What do they want?" she whispered. No one had an answer. The human commander was named Major Kane. He was tall, with a face that showed many battles. Kane looked at the city through his visor. He did not smile. He did not speak softly. His mission was clear. "We are here to stop the threat," Kane said quietly into his radio. "No mercy, no mistakes." "What threat?" the Sirians asked. The answer was hidden. The disease was not a natural illness, it was a weapon. A deadly weapon made to spread fear and death. But something had gone wrong. In secret, Earth had learned the truth. The disease was worse than the Sirians knew. It could not be cured. It could not be stopped easily. The humans were not here to heal. They were here to contain. Suddenly, a small alarm sounded in the city. A building nearby shook, then exploded. Dust and smoke filled the air. Panic spread. The humans moved fast. They took cover and aimed their weapons. From the smoke came strange shapes, twisted creatures made by the disease. They moved fast and attacked without thought. A young soldier named Lee fired his rifle. The creatures fell one by one. But the fight had only begun. Lyra watched in horror. She saw the humans kill, but no one healed. She wanted to help the sick, but no one listened. "Please," she cried, "we need doctors, not guns." But Major Kane only said, "This is a war. The disease is the enemy." Meanwhile, in space, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The leaders were angry and confused. They had expected peacekeepers. Instead, they saw destruction. "Earth is breaking the rules," said one alien leader. "We must act before it is too late." But Earth's message was clear. "We protect our own. We stop this threat no matter what." Back on Sirion, the city grew quieter. The infected were isolated. The humans set up barriers. No one could leave. Lyra found a small group of children hiding in an abandoned building. Their faces were pale, eyes wide with fear. She gave them water and tried to comfort them. "We will find a way," she said softly. "We must survive." At night, Major Kane stood on a hill and looked at the stars. He remembered Earth, his home, and the orders he had to follow. "This mission is bigger than us," he thought. "If we fail, the disease will spread beyond this planet. We must be strong." But inside him, a question grew. Was there another way? Could they save more than just their own people? The next day, a strange ship arrived near the city. It was small and fast. A Syrian scientist came out. He wanted to talk. The humans surrounded him, weapons ready. The scientist held up his hands. "I can help," he said. "There is more to this disease than you know." Major Kane listened. The scientist told a secret. The disease was changing. It was becoming alive. It learned from every attack. It was growing stronger. The humans faced a new danger. Not just a plague, but a living enemy. As the sun set on Sirion, the people waited. They did not know if they would see help or destruction. The galaxy watched, and Earth prepared for war. The sun barely rose over the city of Sirion when the alarm sounded again. A loud, sharp noise echoed through the streets. Something was wrong. Small Sirion boy named Taro ran toward the human soldiers. His eyes were wide with hope and fear. He reached out to one soldier, trembling as if asking for help. The soldier was named Lee. He looked down at Taro and felt a strange tug inside his heart. The boy was innocent, but Lee was a soldier, not a healer. His fingers tightened around his weapon. The boy smiled weakly and stepped closer. Lee raised his rifle, but before he could fire, a strange growl came from the shadows. Suddenly, a dark shape lunged out, attacking the boy. Lee fired. The creature fell, but more came. The humans raised their weapons and opened fire. The creatures were not Sirian people. They were something else, twisted, fast, and violent. They moved like animals, but with an intelligence that scared even the soldiers. Major Kane shouted orders. "Protect the civilians, eliminate the threat." The soldiers moved like one. They swept through the city streets, clearing every corner. But the creatures kept coming as if the plague had given birth to monsters. Lyra watched in horror. She saw the destruction and bloodshed. She wanted to scream, but her voice was lost in the chaos. The Syrian scientist had lied. The disease was not a simple virus. It was a weapon, made to kill and spread fear. But why would humans send destroyers instead of doctors? In a secret room, the scientists explained to Major Kane the truth. "The plague is a bioweapon," the lead scientist said. "It was created by Sirion's own people to win power in the Galactic Council, but it escaped control. Now it threatens the entire galaxy." Kane listened carefully. "So this was not an accident?" "No," the scientist replied. "It was a plan, but it failed." The humans understood then that the Sirion people had hidden their true intentions. The plague was dangerous, but the city itself was a battlefield. The Galactic Council sent a message to Earth. "Withdraw your forces," they demanded. "We want to handle this peacefully." Earth's reply was cold and simple. "We cannot risk the galaxy. The threat must be stopped." The Council feared war. The humans feared disaster. Back in the city, a young human soldier found a small child trapped under rubble. The child was coughing and weak. Lee knelt beside her. He took off his helmet and showed his face. Soft, kind. "Don't be afraid," he said quietly. "We're here to help." The child looked at him and smiled. For a moment, the war felt distant. But then the alarm sounded again. The creatures were multiplying. The plague was growing stronger, and the war was just beginning. The city was quiet now, but the air was thick with fear. The humans had taken control, but no one felt safe. One night, a shadow moved quickly through the streets. It was Dr. Varan, a Sirion scientist who had helped make the plague. But now he was scared. He carried a small vial filled with glowing blue liquid. It was the last secret, the key to the plague's power. Varan knew the humans wanted this vial. They believed it could help stop the disease. But Varan had a different plan. He wanted to save his people by any cost. As he ran, human soldiers appeared, guns raised. "Stop!" they shouted. Varan froze. "Please," he begged. "I can help. This is the cure." Major Kane stepped forward, cold and hard. "We don't believe you." The soldiers took Varan to a secret lab. They tested the vial. But what they found shocked them all. The liquid was not a cure. It was more dangerous than the plague itself. The disease was alive. It changed inside the body. It learned and adapted. Major Kane realized Earth's mission was not just to fight a disease. It was to stop a new life form, one that could destroy entire planets. Meanwhile, Varen confessed his secret. The plague was meant to be a weapon for Sirion, but it escaped control. "Please," he said, voice trembling, "help us stop it." But Kane was not sure. Could he trust this man? Or was this just a trick? Outside, the city waited. The plague was still spreading, and the humans had to make a choice: destroy the city or risk the plague spreading. The tension grew. No one knew what would come next. The sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows over the ruined city of Sirion. Silence had fallen, but it was not peaceful. It was a heavy, waiting silence, the kind that makes your skin crawl. Inside a small lab, deep underground, the humans worked tirelessly. The soldiers guarded the doors, but the real battle was happening inside the lab. Scientists and doctors examined the bodies of the infected. What they found shocked them beyond words. The infected were not simply sick. Their bodies were changing, growing strange new tissue beneath the skin. The tissue moved slowly, like it was alive. Dr. Kira, the head of the medical team, looked at the scans with wide eyes. "This is not normal," she said softly. "It's not just a virus. It's something different." The medical AI, a machine designed to analyze any disease, hummed quietly. It had scanned thousands of samples, but this was the first time it sent a warning alert. "The tissue is growing and adapting," the AI said in a calm voice. "It shows signs of intelligence." Major Kane stood behind Dr. Kira, his face hard, but his eyes betraying a flicker of fear. "If it is alive, then this is no longer just a plague," he said. "It's a living enemy." Outside, the city was fenced off. No one could leave. The humans had declared Sirion a quarantine zone. It was a prison to stop the disease from spreading into space. But inside the quarantine, fear grew. The infected were more than patients now. They were monsters, slowly taking over the city. Lyra, the nurse, walked among the survivors. She held the hands of children and whispered hope to the scared. But even she could not hide the truth. The plague was winning. One night, a loud explosion shook the city. From the smoke came the creatures, twisted, half-human with glowing eyes. They moved fast and attacked everything in their path. The humans fought back with everything they had. Lasers, grenades, and rifles lit the night. The battle was fierce, but the creatures were strong. "We can't stop this with guns alone," Major Kane said grimly. Dr. Kira nodded. "We need to understand it, learn how it thinks." The medical AI had found something strange. The tissue inside the infected was sending signals, like it was talking to itself. It was learning from every attack, every cure, every death. The plague was evolving. The Galactic Council sent a message again. They warned Earth to stop. The infection should be studied, not destroyed, but Earth's leaders were firm. "We will not allow this to spread," they said. "Containment is the only way." The humans began a new plan. Total destruction if needed. Yet a secret hope remained. A small team of scientists believed the plague could be stopped. They searched for a cure, something to break the cycle. Dr. Kira worked day and night analyzing the living tissue. She discovered that it reacted to sound frequencies. "If we can find the right frequency," she said, "we might be able to stop it from growing." Major Kane listened carefully. He wanted to believe, but he also knew the risks. "The military will give you time," he said. "But if the cure doesn't work, we destroy everything." Lyra watched from a distance. She wanted peace, not war. She prayed for a miracle. Meanwhile, the infected creatures moved closer to the quarantine walls. They seemed to understand the barriers. They tested every weakness. One day, a loud crack echoed through the fence. The creatures broke through. Panic spread. The quarantine was failing. Major Kane ordered full lockdown. Every human soldier took their position. The city was now a battlefield. The living tissue inside the infected began to spread faster. It moved through water, soil, even the air. The plague was no longer just on the bodies. It was in the environment. It was part of Sirion itself. The humans faced a terrible choice: destroy the planet or risk the plague escaping. The sky darkened with warships. The final battle was coming. As the sun set on Sirion, a single message was sent back to Earth. This is not just a disease. It is a new form of life, and it wants to survive. The city of Sirion was no longer just a place. It was a battleground. The infected creatures roamed freely, tearing through buildings and streets. The humans fought fiercely, but every victory felt temporary. The plague was winning. Major Kane stood on the command bridge of the biggest human warship orbiting Sirion. His eyes were fixed on the city below, where fires burned like angry scars. "We can't hold this forever," Kane said, voice heavy with worry. "If the plague breaks the quarantine, it will spread to the whole galaxy." Dr. Kira joined him, holding a small device that pulsed with soft blue light. "We may have a chance," she said. "We found a frequency that disrupts the plague's tissue. It weakens their movements." Kane nodded slowly. "How long before it's ready?" "We need to test it," Kira said, "and fast." Below on Sirion, Lyra helped the survivors move to safer zones. Children clung to her, their faces pale and scared. "I promise," she whispered. "We will get through this." But even she feared the worst. The infected were changing. They were no longer just sick people. Their minds seemed connected, moving with purpose. In one abandoned building, a creature stood still. Its eyes glowed brighter than before. It seemed to watch the humans. A new intelligence was rising. Back on the warship, the humans prepared the device. They planned to broadcast the frequency over the entire city, hoping to stop the spread. The countdown began. "Ready," Kane said. The signal sent waves of sound, soft at first, then stronger. On the streets, the infected creatures froze. Their glowing eyes dimmed. They stumbled and fell. For a moment, hope returned. But then, the creatures began to scream, a terrible, high-pitched sound. The plague was fighting back. The buildings shook. The ground cracked. Suddenly, the quarantine walls exploded. The infected surged out. Chaos erupted. The humans fired back, but it was clear. The plague was stronger than before. Kane shouted orders. "Fall back. Regroup at the safe zone." Lyra ran with the survivors. She looked back at the burning city, tears in her eyes. "We must survive," she said. "For Earth. For the galaxy." Dr. Kira worked furiously on the device, trying to find a stronger frequency. Hours passed. The battle raged on. Finally, Kira found a pattern, a sound that made the plague retreat. "We can push it back," she said, "but only for a short time." Kane made a decision. "We will use the warships, fire everything we have to contain the infection." The warships opened fire. Beams of light cut through the sky, hitting the infected and the city alike. The ground shook. Buildings crumbled, but the plague slowed. For now. As the dust settled, Kane looked at the destruction. "We saved the galaxy today," he said softly. "But at what cost?" Lyra held a small child close. "We will rebuild," she said. "We have to." But deep inside, everyone knew the battle was far from over. The plague was still alive, still growing, and the galaxy was watching. The warship's fire had pushed back the infected, but the cost was high. The city of Sirion lay in ruins, smoldering beneath the dark skies. The air was thick with ash and fear. Inside the human command center, Major Kane paced nervously. His mind was heavy with doubts. "We slowed the plague," he said, "but it's not gone and something feels wrong." Dr. Kira stared at the data streams flashing on the screens. "The plague's signals are changing," she said. "It's adapting faster than ever." Suddenly, an alarm blared. The communications console lit up with an urgent message from the Galactic Council. "Earth must cease all military action immediately," the message said. "You are endangering the galaxy with your aggression." Kane slammed his fist on the table. They don't understand. The plague will spread if we stop now. But the council's message was clear. Earth must obey. Lyra entered the room, exhausted but determined. We have survivors asking for safe passage, she said. We can't just fight. We must save lives. Kane nodded slowly. I agree. But can we trust the council to help? That question haunted him. Late that night, Kane reviewed secret reports. Something strange had been uncovered. One of the Sirion scientists, Dr. Varan, was missing. Even worse, encrypted messages showed he had been in contact with unknown forces. Kane's stomach tightened. Could Varan be betraying them? He sent a small team to find Varan, but the city was dangerous. The infected creatures still prowled the ruins, and hostile Sirion factions lurked in the shadows. Meanwhile, in a hidden lab, Varan worked feverishly. He was not alone. A group of masked figures stood with him, alien agents from a rival galactic power. We want the plague, one said. It is a weapon beyond all others. Varan nodded. It will give us power. Back on the warship, Kane's team found Varan's trail. It led to an old underground bunker. They moved carefully, weapons ready. Inside, they found Varan and the truth. Varan confessed he had helped create the plague as a secret weapon. But now, he feared what it had become. I never meant for this to happen, he said. But others want to use it for war. Kane's team took Varan into custody, but the betrayal cut deep. If the plague was a weapon, then the war was not just about survival. It was about control and power. The Galactic Council's warnings made sense now. They wanted peace, but some wanted war. The humans faced enemies on all sides: disease, monsters, political enemies, and traitors. Kane looked at the stars, feeling the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. The battle for Sirion was not just a fight for one city. It was a war that could change the fate of all worlds. And the darkest shadows were yet to come. The war had reached its peak. The ruined city of Sirion was a ghost town filled with smoke and fire. The once bustling streets were now battlegrounds where humans and infected creatures fought for survival. Major Kane stood on the front line, his eyes scanning the horizon. He saw the last of the quarantine walls crumbling under the pressure of the infected hordes. The city was losing its last defenses. Behind him, the human soldiers prepared for what could be their final fight. We hold this line, Kane said firmly. If the plague breaks through, it won't just be Sirion lost, it will be the whole galaxy. Dr. Kira worked alongside her team in a temporary lab, running final tests on the sound frequency device. They hoped it could deliver one last blow. To the plague, we're ready, she told Kane. But it's risky. If it fails, the plague will grow stronger. Kane nodded. We don't have a choice. The survivors huddled in safe zones, clutching each other, waiting for the end or a miracle. Lyra moved through the crowd, calming the frightened and tending to the wounded. We must keep hope alive, she said. Even in the darkest times, the infected creatures gathered in massive numbers, their glowing eyes watching the humans. They moved with terrifying coordination, as if controlled by one mind. Suddenly, the creatures charged. The battle exploded with violence. Lasers cut through the air. Explosions shook the ground. The humans fought bravely, but the infected were relentless. Kane activated the sound frequency device. A powerful wave of sound swept over the battlefield. The infected screamed and faltered, their movements slowing. Hope sparked, but the device's power drained quickly. The creatures roared and surged forward again. Kane and his soldiers pushed back, with everything left. Just as the plague seemed unstoppable, a new wave of warships arrived. Earth's reinforcements. They unleashed heavy firepower, pushing the infected back and giving the humans a chance to regroup. The tide turned. Kane looked at the burning city and made a decision. We will destroy the plague's source, he said, no matter the cost. Dr. Kira led a small team to the underground core where the living tissue grew strongest. They planted explosives, hoping to wipe out the heart of the plague. As they escaped the collapsing tunnels, the city shook violently. The Plague's life was ending. Above, the humans cheered as the infected creatures fled or died. The war was over. But the cost was high. Thousands were lost. The city was ruined. And the galaxy had seen humanity's true power, a power they would never forget. Kane watched the horizon knowing this was only the beginning. The galaxy had changed forever. The dust settled over Sirion. The war was finally over, but the scars remained. The city was a ruin, the streets empty, the fires slowly dying. Silence stretched across the battlefield. A silence heavy with loss and hard-won victory. Major Tier. Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship, staring at the shattered planet below. He felt tired but proud. Humanity had done what no one expected. "We destroyed the plague," Kane said quietly. "We saved the galaxy." Dr. Kira joined him, her face tired but hopeful. "We stopped a new kind of enemy," she said. "One that was alive, learning and dangerous." Lyra walked among the survivors in the makeshift camp. She held a child's hand and smiled softly. "People will rebuild," she said, "stronger than before." The Galactic Council sent a message to Earth, this time different. They thanked humanity for their courage and strength. They said the galaxy needed Earth's help more than ever. But Kane knew this was just the start. The plague had been a warning, a test of humanity's power and will. Now Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The human warships stood ready, guarding the stars. Earth had sent destroyers, not doctors, because sometimes the greatest help is strength. As the survivors looked to the sky, hope returned. A new dawn was rising, a dawn where humanity stood tall among the stars. And the galaxy watched, waiting for what would come next.